Okay. Okay. I think we will start. ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Okay, so we are in the second Mundaka, first chapter of that. And as I was mentioning, this Mundaka is all about Srishti Karyam. This chapter is all about how the world is created, how the Brahman manifests itself into this world of plurality. So that is the subject matter of this chapter 1 of second Mundaka. And what we have seen so far, in the first mantra, there was a Tatastha Lakshana of Brahman, how the various sparks come from the fire. That is how the world came out of Brahman. That is a Tatastha Lakshana. And in the second mantra, we saw the Swarupa Lakshana. Then we moved on to the third mantra, from where it really shows how the Brahman is actually manifesting into the universe. So in the third mantra, the Upanishad very quickly told us how the Sukshma Prapancha was first formed, and then the Stula Prapancha, how the subtle world was formed. So this is that mantra, Etasma Jayate Pranaha Manas Sarvendriyani cha Kam Vayu Jyotirapaha Prithvi Vishwasya Dharini. So the prana, manas, and indriyas are all sukshma. Whereas Kam, Vayu, Jyoti, Apa, and Prithvi, all these are the Stula Prapancha. So in the third mantra, we saw it in some detail, how this creation process started with first Sukshma Prapancha and then the Stula Prapancha. Now the Upanishad takes us further in this process of creation. Can you open that door? I think echo is coming. So the Upanishad is now taking us further in terms of how further development of the universe happens. So we will see the two mantras today, mantra 4 and 5, where this creation process is taken even further. Huh? Video. So it's okay. So mantra 4, Agnir Murda Chakshushi Chandra Suryo Disashrotre Vagvivritascha Vedaha Vayu pranaha hridayam vishwamasya padbyam prithivi hesha sarva bhutantaratma. So this is the mantra, which is the fourth mantra. So in the third mantra, we looked at the Sukshma and the Stula Prapancha. Now more and more how the Brahman manifests into the world is explained in the following mantras. So this mantra is very characteristic of how our scriptures represent an idea. This is where a lot of foreigners have a problem. They simply translate, and after they translate, they think all these are some kind of joke because they don't understand the sukshma of these mantras. Anyway, first let us see what it is saying. It says Agnihi Murdha. This area is called Murdhini. This temple, we call it in English temple. This is Murdhini. So it says Agni Murdhana Chakshushi Chandra Surya. So Surya and Chandra is linked to the two eyes. Chakshushi Chandra Surya. Disaha Shrotre, the directions. Disha is the directions, and that is linked to the ear. Shrotre. Shrotram, Shrotre, Shrotrani. So it's two pair of ears. Shrotre. Okay. Dvivachanam. Vak Vivritascha Vedaha. The speech, all the Vedas are related to the speech. That is the next one that it is saying. Vayuhu Pranaha. The Vayu is related to the Prana. Hridayam Vishwam Asya. Asya Hridayam is the Vishwam. The world is the Hridaya. I am simply saying, then when we have to see it in more detail, I'm simply, Padbyam Prithivi. So again, Padbyam. Dvivachanam. Because we have a pair of legs. Padbyam Prithivi. Hi Eshaha Sarva Bhuta Antaratma. So this is what this mantra is saying. So what this is doing, it is in a very figurative sense. This mantra is there. So it says it is actually if you look at the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you will find something like this. Divi Surya Sahasrasya Yugapad Udita Basa Sadrishishat Basastasevim Mahatmanaha. If you look at all those slokas, it will be like this. This is actually the Virat Swarupa. If you imagine the whole world is Virat, which is what it is a Vishwarupa Darshana. In fact, there is one mantra in Mahanarayana, Vishwasa Chaksharuta Vishwato Muko Vishwato Hata Uta Vishwata Spat Sambahubhyam Sampatatre Dyava Prithivi Janayan Yekastan Me Mana Shivashankalpamastu. And Shivashankalpa also same mantra is there. Vishwasas Chakshuruta Uta Vishwa Chakshu. It says the whole world is his eyes. Or everywhere you turn, you find his eyes. Now you cannot understand it in a very figurative sense. It is not that wherever you see a lot of eyes. There are some 10 pairs of eyes here. So Vishwasas Chakshuhu Uta Vishwato Muko Uta Vishwa Hata and Pada. In that mantra, what it says is that Brahman is Sarvavyapi. When you say Brahman is Sarvavyapi, you can say everywhere his eyes are there. Everywhere his legs are there, everywhere his mukha is there. That is a way to explain it. It's a Vishwarupa Darshana. So here, this is actually a Vishwarupa Darshana of Brahman. So in order to explain it, it is linking certain. So now you imagine a very cosmic personality. Because it is portraying that idea in that fashion. It is presenting a cosmic personality, a Virat Purusha. Because in the creation process, it is the Hiranyagarbha which becomes the Virat. Only then the world of creation anyway happens. That is the order in any case. So that Virat Swarupa is being described here in this mantra. So if you imagine the whole world to be the cosmic personality, then how are you going to link different aspects of what we see in the world? So that is the question. In fact, every mantra, I will take Purusha Sukta today, because this is so beautifully explained in Purusha Sukta. Purusha Sukta is a great yajna which is being done. There it takes a different view. There is a yajna which is being done by the Hiranyagarbha and the Devas, by the Hiranyagarbha. And there it explains the creation process as though that that first Purusha does an yajna and what comes out of the yajna. So there are different ways they explain it. Okay? He says, in fact, in another, our Hiranyagarbha Sukta, it says, Jatasya Patireva Asit. He is the first one. He is the Lord of all the created born species in the world. So every mantra in Veda has taken a certain approach, a certain way to portray the concept that the world is pervaded by the Brahman only. That has to be somehow communicated. So to communicate that, each of the suktas and Upanishads have taken a certain method through which it is actually explaining. So here, what it is saying, it says Agnir Murdha. Now, Agni, in the next mantra we will see, Agni also means the heaven. Agni also means the heaven. The, Swarga Loka is also called Agni. But here you can take even Agni as the one of the Bhutas. Because the world is pervaded with all the Bhutas also. That has to be linked. So his temple area is linked to Agni. Okay. Chakshushi Chandra Suryo. Now, here it is only two. Whereas if you go to, let us say, Rudra, it will say Soma, Surya, Agni, Lochana. So now there are three there. Soma, Surya and Agni. Trinetra. There are three eyes. Here it is talking only two. In fact, if you read our scriptures, half of them will talk about two eyes. If you relate to Shiva, it talks about the third eye also, in which case Agni also comes. Soma, Surya, Agni, Lochana. That's another way comes. So now the question is, why is it linking sun and moon to the eyes? Okay. Whereas in Purusha Sukta, Chandrama, Manaso, Jataha, Chaksho, Suryo, Ajayata, we'll come to it. There it does in a different way. It also has meaning. This also has meaning. So here the meaning is different. And I will add the Agni also. Soma, Surya, Agni. So there are three. So generally people may ask, Westerners, the way they understand and read is very analytical. That is the training. So if moment you say the two eyes are sun and the moon, first of all, they will get very confused because there is no way they are going to make any sense of it. What is this nonsense you are talking? Now, even if they are willing to buy that nonsense for a moment, then they ask the second question. Is the right eye sun or the left eye sun? If you add an Agni also, then you have a combination of three. Because, you can put anyone in any of the three places. So this kind of that, they are used to that kind of questioning. They have approached the entire ancient Indian wisdom only with that lens because that's the only lens they know. So many of the translations we should not read. That's the reason we should not read. Because they don't get it right. They almost get it wrong. Max Muller and etc. All these people. So therefore, we have to understand the deeper meaning. In fact, Chinmayananda gives a very beautiful explanation of this mantra. Many explanations are good. This is also very good. His argument is very simple. He says, of what avail is the pair of eyes if there is no light in the world? World is pitch dark. Absolutely no light. Not a streak of light. Then he says, what do you do with the pair of eyes? It's of no use. In fact, a blind person is better off because for him, he is used to a way of dealing with the world because it is always dark for him. So he says, by what is being shown here is the faculty of eye. When God created, he also created an Indriyartha. Indriya and Indriyartha. Indriyartha is the object for this, the purpose for this Indriya. The purpose for the Indriya eye is to see. And if you have to see, then you need light. Now there are only 3 sources of light in the world. There are no other source. The primordial source is sun. That's why if it is one eye, they use sun. Chaksho suryo ajayata. If it is one eye, they use sun. There is order also. If there are 2 eyes, they say Chakshushi Chandra Suryo. Then if it is 3, Soma Surya Agni. It says like that. Soma Surya Agni comes the 3rd, actually, in that order. Why? Huh? No, I think you don't have to even restrict to the Earth's perspective. What I am saying is the primordial luminous body. It is the Earth's perspective, but you can generalize it. What I am saying is the order is important. There is a primordial luminous body. In the Earth's perspective, it is sun. What we are saying is, this is the first one. Then there are some derived lights. The second derived light is moon. The third derived light is Agni. Because Agni to come, you need Vayu. The Vayu comes when you have this gaseous system, which are all in the space, which are all again, sun is the source of heat also. So in this context it is, but we can generalize it. We can say there is a primordial source of light. There can be a secondary and tertiary source of light. So, a faculty called eyes is related only when there is a source of light. So that is also indicated in this mantra. That's why Chakshushi Chandra Surya. And the next one is coming exactly like that. Disa Shrotre. If there is no ether, if there is no space and in that space there is no ether, sound doesn't travel. Then there is no use of this Indriya called pair of ears. So that is linked here. These are Shrotre. The ears are linked to the directions, because only if directions gainfully exist, then ear can be used in some sense. Otherwise, ear has no meaning. It has absolutely no relevance. Because sound waves don't travel, then there is no necessity for a ear. And so, Disha Shrotre, Vag Vivritasya Vedaha. If only there is an ability to speech, then there is ability to hear. Then out of the speech you hear, and so the Vedas are all nothing but the primordial source of the words. That's why Shabda Brahman. Brahman was in the beginning it was Shabda. I believe even in the Bible also it is written like that only. That it was sound. The sound was God. Like that, I believe it is written in Bible also in the same way. So it is Shabda Brahman. So the initial source of our knowledge is from sound. And that sound comes from speaking. So that is related to the cosmic mouth. The cosmic mouth enabled the world of Vedas as much as the cosmic eyes enabled the world of seeing. The cosmic ears enabled the world of hearing, for which you need the Panchabhutas also. So that is how this mantra is coming. Vayuhu pranaha. Your breathing in and out, your existence is a function of, so the prana created the vayu. So there is a mutual dependence of all these principles. One is the cause, one is the way of using it, and then that's how the whole thing happens. So vayuhu prana, hridayam vishwamasya. Hridayam is not heart. In this context, hridayam means mind. Now, in the entire creation process, this is the most important thing. Creation is just the creation of the mind. If your mind is not there, you are not there, the world is not there. If your mind is gone, the person who is in coma, one who has lost out his chitta and all that, for him or her, world does not exist. The notion of world is a creation of the mind. The mind is not there, there is no world. And that is why in Sushupti there is no world, because the mind is not there. It's all, dull and dead in Sushupti. Pratyabhijna comes only after you get up. So it is not only in the Anda, it is even for the Virat Purusha, the cosmic mind created the world. If the cosmic mind is destroyed, the world is destroyed. That is the equivalent to that. That's why he says Hridayam Vishwamasya. So it is also true for every one of us. that if only the mind exists, the world exists. The moment the mind was switched off, the world was also switched off. There was no notion of world. Everything came to a grinding halt or hibernation, only to be reopened again when the mind opens up. That's why when we are sometimes very involved in a work, when you are very involved in a work, the mind is lost. When the mind is lost, everything is lost. I don't know who came and went. Sound I did not hear. I was so involved. Even those momentary times, even when you are so-called in a waking state, what is it indicating? If the mind is lost, the world doesn't exist. World is a clean, simple playing out of the mind. So the cosmic mind was to be created. That's why in the previous mantra, that's why you see in the previous mantra, first it has to be created. Etasma jayate prano manasarvendriyanicha. Because that has to manufacture the world. Otherwise, the world does not exist if the cosmic mind did not exist. The cosmic mind came as Hiranyagarbha. And with the Prakriti, which is the potential, it created the Sukshma and the Stula. So that is why Hridayam Vishwamasya. Then comes Padbyam Prithvi. This is a uh, very interesting thought which we don't sometimes think about. I just went, one of my relative fractured his left, right, small fracture. Looks like hairline. It's quite old, so they didn't, they said simply we'll put plaster of Paris. I was actually reading this mantra and I met him. Then I realized the smallest, minutest thing, he is now cannot get up. He cannot stand. He is flat. Doctor says for 4 weeks you can't even get up. So this whole body, we don't think about it. The whole body is supported only by these 2 legs. Minutest. In fact, I remember of another person. One of the person known to me. His the finger, that thumb, index, the bigger finger on the toe, his thumb on the toe is permanently like this. It's not in this position. It is in this position. I am told that some surgery was done to him, and apparently there is one muscle on the lower side which controls the upper movement, and one muscle on the upper side which controls the lower movement of the small thumb that we have on our toe. I think they had wrongly destroyed one of the muscle. So it is in one position now. It's not even moving. He's not able to walk. Even the smallest thing that you do, and another doctor told me once, this curvature on our bottom of the, that curvature is so intricate. Slight variation in the curvature, we will fall. Looks like, you don't even any of things for granted. A slight change in the curvature, you will lose your stability. You can't stand. So the pair of legs is the primordial reason why we all are stable. That is what it is saying. Padbyam Prithvi. So this whole world is the leg of this cosmic Purusha because she is called Dharini. Dharyate iti Dharini. She is one who beholds and supports. That's why she is called Dharini. Dhriti. That's why she is called Dhriti. Dhriti, Dharini are Mother Earth. Because supports and beholds. So it is extremely important. Padbyam Prithvi. That's why it says Padbyam Prithvi. The earth is as though the leg of the cosmic Purusha, because if the leg is even slightly, you alter the leg, whole thing will fall. This is our own experience. That is so. This is an expression of the cosmic Purusha in a very figurative sense. As I told you, our scriptures again and again, they use different methodologies. For example, if you take Lagunyasa, Agnir me vachishritaha, va hridayam mayi, aham amridam brahmani, vayur me prane shritaha, suryo me sakshusi shritaha, chandrama me manasi shritaha, prithvi me sharire shrita, voshadi vanaspatayo me lomasi shrita. All these things, it relates it to the Voshadi vanaspataya of the cosmic. It's a beautiful mapping there. There's a slightly different mapping. Agnirme vachishita. Speech is fire. You can experience it with somebody. Speech is actually fire. That's why Krishna says, Anudvekakaram Vakyam. Vanmaya Tapas. In chapter 17 of Bhagavad Gita, he says, Anudvekakaram Vakyam. Udvekakaram astu. Moment you speak, somebody should not get their BP to 190. The fire is there. That's why in Lagunyasa it says, Agnirme Vachishita. Va Hridaye Hridayamayi. Suryo me Sakshusishritaha. Chandrama me Manasishritaha. The mind is related to the moon. That's why in English also they say lunatic. Somebody is lost their mind, they use the word lunatic. I think all cultures have understood it. That's why Vak Vivridasya Veda. The knowledge is only from sound and speech. That's the only primordial source of knowledge. Sound and speech are the primordial source of knowledge, actually. Right? So that is why the Vedas are equated to the knowledge. So in Lagunyasa, it says like that. Oshati vanaspatyo melomasi indro me bale shritaha. It says apo me retisi shritaha. The reproductive sap is in the water. Like that, it has a different conceptualization of the Virat Purusha and the manifestation. Now we will see Purusha Sukta. Some, I am not taking the full of them. I take only some of them. Tasmat Virat Ajayata. From him, Virat came. Virat is the first cosmic Purusha. Hiranyagarbha is the Virat. The Annam is called Virat. In Upanishad, it is called Annam. That Annam is called Virat actually. Annam is not food. Annam is the food for the world, which is this whole Virat. That's the Virat. So Tasmat Virat Ajayata. From this describes a grand yajna that is happening. From the yajna, first Virat came. Yes, in fact, the Brahman. See, there are two words in our Vedantic discussion and this thing. It's a Napumsaka linga and there is a Pullinga. That's why I also mentioned it some time back. If you use a Napumsaka linga, that is the ultimate source, which is Nirguna, which is the primordial cause of everything. But when it wants to create, this is what in Taittiriya Upanishad they keep saying, no? Sokamayate bahusyam prajayeti. Moment he says, I want to bring my potential energy into action, then Brahma comes. That is a Pullinga. And with Prakriti, that is the Virat. That creates the Hiranyagarbha, Virat. All these are the first form of existence, actually. So, Virajaha, Adipurushaha. This Virat is substratum on that, which is that Nirguna Brahman. That Purusha is that, Purushottama. Last class I said, no, Uttamanam Uttamaha, Purushottamaha, which is Aksharat Aksharam. The third mantra we saw that. So that is Adipurushaha. Sahajataha Atyarichyata Paschad Bhumi Ato Puraha. After that, all these came. Bhumi Ataha Puraha. Right? Then, Yat Purushena Havisha, that Virat made the oblations, right? Deva Yajnam Atanvata. They used this Virat and did an Yajna. So the entire Purusha Sukta is as though this cosmic Purusha is offered as in the Yajna, and out of which what came. That is how it has taken a position. So, Vasanto Asya Asit. Ajyam Grishma Idma Sharadvihi. So for this Yajna, what is the ghee? What is the Idma? In a very nice way it is saying. It says Vasanto Asya Asit Ajyam. For this Yajna that is being done, right? The Vasanta, Ritu, right? That was the fuel. Ajyam means that is a fuel for doing this thing, na? Huh? Grishma Idma. Idma is that Samit, no? Which you have to. So the seasons are expressed like that. The seasons came. Seasons, essentially what is it saying? As you put more ghee, understand how deep this idea is. If you do an yajna, the more you add the samit and the ghee, the yajna is going to continue. So, for the time to pass, you need all the ritus. That's why the Vasanta and Grishma are coming. They are all saying it is happening over time. That is what it is saying. Over time, many things started coming out. That is the sort of an indication here. It uses a different figurative idea of bringing this concept. Yagyam barhishi praukshan purusham jatamash agratah. So first these divine men came, right? When they did the proksha, when they sprinkled, then these people came. Okay. Tena deva ayajantaha. With that, the devas did the yajna. They further did the yajna. Tena deva ayajantaha. Sadhya rishayascha. The sadhu janaha, the rishis, the devas, all of them started doing the yajna with that. Now we have created more people are doing more yajna, so more are going to come out. That's the position it has taken. It is introducing the thing like that. Tasmat yajnat sarvahutah sambritam prushat ajyam. Right? It says from that complete offering of his tasmat yajnat, everything was offered to it, sarvahutah, right? Sambritam prusadadyam. Then what are all things that came? Pashun tan chakran vayavyan aranyan gramyanscha. So it has taken a different route. All the animals came, the forest and all that came, the villages and all that came. So it is telling it like that, which means the whole process is now going further and further. Smat yajna sarvarutah. Again and again that is being repeated. From that yajna, after all the ahuti is done, all these are coming. That is saying again, richas samani cha yajire. So the Vedas came out of it. The rich Yajus and Sama and all those, Chanda. Chandas also came. Chandas means Veda. Pasha means the other non-Vedic literature. Bhasha and Chandas. So the entire Vedic literature corpus came. That is what we have to understand. Tasmat Yajuhu Tasmat Ajayata. So, the Yajus came because Sama and Rig are in the first line, Yajus is in the second line. The 3 Vedas came, the Vedic corpus came, all of them came. Tasmad Ashwa Ajayanta, horses, they came, right? Then Gavaha, cows, Hajagjire Tasma Jata Ajavayaha, goat, etc., etc. Cattles, basically. Ajavayaha means ... Right? So all the animals, cattle, everything came out of it. So people came out of it. Devas, rishis came out of it. The Oshadi Vanaspatiya came out of it. Now the knowledge came out. Vedic corpus came out of it. Now the cows and cattle and everything came out of it. So it is taking it in a different way. This is explaining it in a particular way. Chandrama manaso jataha. From that Vedic Purusha, from his mind came the moon. It says like that. Chaksho Suryo Ajayata. From the eyes, the sun came. From that Kasvik Purusha who came out of that Yajna. Okay. Mukad Indra. Cha Agnischa. Indra and Agni came out of the mouth. Okay. Pranad Vayu Ajayata. From the breath of the Kasvik Purusha, the Vayu came. Vayu principle came. Similar things. It is only using that kind of a thing. Nabhya Asrit Antariksham. This interspace between the heaven and that came out of the Nabhi, from the navel. Sishnaha Dyauh Samavartata. So Dyauh is that heaven, which came from his Sishna is the head. Okay. This is Sahasra Sirsha, Purusha, 1,000 heads. Sirsha is head actually. Okay. Padbyam Bhumihi, same idea. Bhumi is the supporting entity, so that is linked to the Padbyam Bhumihi. Dishaha Shrotre, same idea. Dishaha Shrotre, Tata Lokan Akalpayan. So that cosmic Purusha created the world like this. Out of his ears came something, out of his Mukha Indra and Agni came, out of his eye came the Surya, like that. It is also saying it. So you will find a very similar description in all these scriptures. Lagunyasa I showed, Purusha Sukta and here. The point is, it is a figurative way of explaining. It is explaining the Virat Swarupa, that this cosmic entity only became Prithvi. And that is related to, if you have to paint all of them in a big so-called Purusha, then you relate it to the leg, because it makes a lot of sense. Because the stability of that person is dependent on the leg. So the stability of the universe is the function of the Prithvi. Like that, they have connected in a very figurative sense, they have explained. So this mantra has now taken us one more step, and it says that all these things were created, came out of that Brahman only. Initially, he came like a Virat Purusha. Then goes the next mantra. Tasmat Agnihi Samido Yasya Suryah Somat Parjanyah Voshadayah Pritivyam Puman Retah Sinchati Yoshitayam Vannihi Prajaha Purusha Samprasutaha. How did human beings came? So far, it is all talking about so many things. You know, the earth, this, that, and so on. How did human beings come? It uses a very deep concept. This is explained in great detail in Chandogya. It is called Pancha Agni Vidya. It is also there in Mundakopanishad. Also, in both the places, it is the same episode is described. Before that, let me quickly tell what is told here. Tasmat, from him, Agnihi. Okay, so the fire came out of him. Yasya, Agnehe means for the fire you need a fuel. The fuel is Surya. Surya, Yasya, Surya, Samidaha. The sun is the fuel for that fire which came out of him. Then moon came. Soma is moon. It is not saying how it came. So we have to go to another Upanishad to understand this. So I will go, but I will only say what is being explained here. Somat Parjanyah. Out of the moon came the deity of rain. Parjanya is the deity of rain. Parjanyah. Okay. Oh, in fact, Parjanyat, Oshadayah. All those are implied here. So Oshadayah, this Sasyas, this plant kingdom, obviously came out of rain only. If there is no rain, no plant kingdom. So Oshadayah, then Oshadavyas, Oshadayat Prithivya. Prithivya Oshadayah. From this earth, using the rainfall, the Oshadis came. So that's what it is saying. So from the Prithvi, using the rainfall, the Oshadis came. Okay. Puman Retaha Sinchati. It suddenly says the man deposits his seeds. Sinchati is depositing. Retaha is the reproductive sap. Right? Yoshitayam Mannihi. So that is the fire he deposited. Prajaha Purushat Samprasutaha. So it is in a very discontinued fashion, it is written. So we have to make sense of this mantra. This mantra, we have to go to another Upanishad to understand, because it is very quickly put. So you have now read and make sense of it. By itself, you cannot, it is in a very concise way. So let me tell you background to this. There is this Swetaketu. Swetaketu will come in Chandogya Upanishad. Swetaketu's father is Gautama Rishi. Swetaketu goes to the king of Panchala, Pravahana. So he goes and meets the king. King asks him 5 questions. He knows answers for none of them. Swetaketu said, I have learned everything from my father. This is the story in Chandogya. Same story is there in Brihadaranyaka also. So this Pravahana asked 5 questions. 5th question he asked was, do you know those 5 fires from which human beings come? That is related to this mantra. That's why I'm just coming to that only. So Swetaketu said, I do not know. But you said you have learnt everything. So Swetaketu was a little bit really upset with this. So he goes back to Gautama. She asked the same question to Gautama. Gautama also did not know. So Gautama said, let me come. The world was not as compartmentalized as it is today. It looks like, if you read Upanishads, this is what you find there. Because people were respected for the Varna. So this Gautama is a rishi, he comes to Pravahana. So the Pravahana gives him all respect and says, what do you want? Let me give you the riches. He said, I don't need all of them. You keep, I have enough. I don't know something, I want to learn from you. So that's what Gautama asks. Pravahana says, looks like Brahmins have not been taught properly. Kshatriyas only knew all the. It's a very nice conversation there. Brahmins did not know anything. It's only, Kshatriyas who seem to have learnt. Anyway, you stay with me, I'll let you know. So that's the episode. Then he explains to you. That's how, you'll find the fifth book of Chandogya. I think on that, the third section, I think. That's where this is coming. 14 sections of that. The whole conversation goes there. So this Pravahana explains to Gautama, of course, Shwetaketu is also there. What are these 5 fires? Again, it's a very deep concept actually. So let me, instead of all those shlokas, I will give a tabular form. What the shloka is saying, I'll bring it in a table. Then we will make sense of this mantra. So the conversation between Pravahana and Gautama essentially put out this idea. It said that people are not, it's a very great concept. People are not just like that born. See, the deeper meaning of this. We don't just be born in a hospital on a particular day because of cesarean or all, none of that. Because in this Sanatan Dharma, what we know is there is a path on which we are going. Every Janma is a step in that path. So that has to be properly thought about and laid out and prepared for. It doesn't happen here. It says happens 5 levels earlier. That is the point it is making. That's why Nakaschit Kalyanakar Durgatim Tata Gachati. That's what Krishna said in chapter 6 to Arjuna. Arjuna asked, all these yoga and all are very nice. Krishna, beautifully you explained. Chanchalam hi manak Krishna pramati balavadranam. That also you said. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagena chagrikete. All that you said. Everything is fine. But then this whole Janma, I will be trying all this, and instead of enjoying the life, I neither got what you said nor enjoyed life. I will be falling between the stools. Like that one question he asked. Ubaya brashtaha. I will be destroyed on both sides. That time Krishna said, Nakaschit kalyanakar durgatim tata gachati. Every Janma that you do is actually added. It only takes you. Suchinam Shimatam Gehe, Yoga Brashto Vijayate. The rest of the last 5 shlokas talks about the journey in a very simple way. This is a very profound thing. In fact, prior to this discussion in Chandogya, you see how this Atman goes after death. So what it says is when you do Anteshti, when you do the Ahuti, it reaches the heaven. You go in the form of the fire. This Atman, it's this what we commit to the graveyard and burial ground is you are only actually consigning the Prithivi back to it. What you borrowed, the Panchabhuta, you're giving back. That is not Atman. What we do, either you put it in a box or you throw it on a tower of silence or burn it. Different religions have different methods. We are only returning back the Panchabhutas. The Atman is not gone there. No, the shlokas before this says that through the Anteshti, through the fire, this Atman goes. Now it carries all its bank balance. You have to get it back now. So that process is this Pancha Agnis. So first it reaches the heaven. Why it reaches the heaven? Again in Bhagavad Gita it is told, it says Somapa Puta Papaha, whatever benefits you enjoy. We saw it in the first Mundaka also. Whatever benefits you enjoy, all of them. It says once Kshine Punye Matya Lokam Vishanti. In chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita, we will find. So first you go to the heaven to sort out all your credit points. So through the fire, the Atman goes and goes there. And the sun actually enables that process of enjoying the good karma and exhausting it. After enjoying the good karma and exhausting it, the sun actually transfers you to the moon. That is the process. So out of this, so it is the Shraddha that a good karma will lead me to the good thing is the only raw material here. That is what is carrying this Atman. So it goes to Soma. So in the first level, the fire or the altar or the place, whatever you want to say, is heaven. Okay? Which is called Agni. That's why Agni is also called heaven in that context. The Samid in this mantra also it says Suryaha Samidaha. That's what this mantra said. That first part it told properly in this mantra. After that you say refer to some other Upanishad because I am putting it in a different way. Okay? Out of it comes Soma. That's why it says Somat Parjanya. If you see in our mantra, you will find it simply said Samidaha Esya Suryaha. Sun is the fuel, but it never said what came out of it. Directly went to the second. It said from Soma you got the Parjanya. So that this mantra explains. So the second substratum on which this Atman starts traveling is it is handed over to the rain through the deity through Parjanya. Okay, the bright moon is the oblation. These are all very figurative ways because the moon in chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita you will find it. Shlokas are there. How the moon is responsible for this nourishing and raining and all that you will find in chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita. You will find that shloka. So the moon transfers this Atman to the rain. So that's the second layer. It goes to the rain, right? The third place where this soul is being, this Atman is being received and operated upon is the earth. Right? The fuel is the air because it has to process for a certain amount of time. That is the air. Okay? And the air is the one which is required for bringing the air, the flow of the air. That is what we say. Day after tomorrow, no, some rain they are telling. It is the air flow which causes the rain clouds and rains and all that. That's why the previous one, the fuel is air. Here it is air. Okay? And the rain transfers this Atman into the food. So that is the third fire. Third fire is the earth. That's why it says Prithivyam Oshadayah. Somat Parjanya. So the second fire is Parjanya. The third fire is Prithivi. That is the third fire. Okay? Then the next place where this Atman is going to play out is the man. Okay? And the fuel is the mouth because that's the way he has to consume the food and nourish himself. No? The nourishment forms in the form of semen also eventually. So the food is the oblation for this process to happen. And the man, this Atman gets into the semen of a person that he deposits on the woman. Finally, you can go to the hospital and do whatever you want to do. That's the last part. The point that is being made is there is a process, there is a very deep methodology by which this every Atman which is conditioned by karma, that is the fundamental building block of Sanatana Dharma. Every individual is conditioned by karma. So therefore the karma, we are nothing but the bundle of karma. And the karma also adds along with it. So, people in Prashnopanishad, it is there. In Prashnopanishad, there is a third chapter. 6 chapters are there in Prashnopanishad. Each chapter is one question, which has to disciple asks, and the Pipalada, who is the Rishi, answers that. In the third Prashna, the question was about pranas. One of the student asked, what are these pranas? So there the pancha pranas are explained. Prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana. Those are explained. Just about 10 mantras. Very quickly, very beautifully it is explained. So it first says that the prana is like the CEO. I'm giving an equivalent of what you find in that. The first mantra says prana is more or less like the CEO. Okay. Then the prana says a king cannot administer a large country. This is exactly the mantra. The king cannot administer a very large country sitting in one place. Therefore, he will appoint adhikaris in the grama. That's what the Upanishad says. Just as the king, who cannot administer everything, will appoint adhikaris for the grama, the prana said, I cannot manage the whole show myself. Therefore, I will now create departments. This is the third mantra. First mantra was the question. It's very crisp. 10 mantras, so many concepts are told. In the third mantra, it says, just as a king will have all these, prana said, I will create 5 departments. But I was teaching Arthashastra whole of last week to my students in IIM Bangalore as part of a course. So there, in Arthashastra, the Kautilyan state has 7 elements make a Kautilyan state. Swami, Amatya, Janapada, Durga, Kosha, Danda, Mitra. These are the 7 elements. This is what forms any public administration. So Amatya is a council of ministers. So there is a nice mantra. There is one mantra, exactly that's what Kautilya says. He says, Yoga Pattato. It says, work will happen simultaneously in the whole country. Demands will be in simultaneously. Anekatvasta, anekastatvacha. The work will be too many. The work will be in too many places. Anekasta means stala. Anekastattacha, anekatvacha. So it says work is, so it gives 3 criteria. Simultaneous, work will happen simultaneously. Work will happen in different places. And work will happen, different number of works. Some 100 things will be happening. Then he says, I cannot handle this. The Raja says, I cannot handle this. So let me now, he says, Paroksham Amatyai Karayet. They may not be in my line of control. Yeah, exactly. Delegation. Right? Paroksham. So in the same way, in Prashnopanishad, I came to Prashnopanishad. Prashnopanishad, this prana says, I will not be able to handle everything myself. So let me make it 5 departments. In that prana says, I will be the upper portion. I will be just between the chest and that part is mentioned. Then it talks about Dhyana. He says the seat of Dhyana is Hridaya. And Dhyana is the nervous system. It says 101 into 101, 100 into 101 into 72,000. That many nerves. It branches out like that. That's what it says. So it is Sarvavyapi. Then it comes to Samana. Samana, it says it will operate on the middle part. It will make the food, everything proper. It's a powerhouse. The pancreas and liver, that's where Samana Vayu is. Then it says Apana, which is the lower part, which is the waste disposal kind of a thing. You know, your excretory and those kinds of things. Then it talks about Udana Vayu. In Udana Vayu, when it talks about, the mantra is very small, but if you understand the commentary, it says exactly, it says that when this soul, when this Atman has to breathe its last, okay, what it will do is it will hand over the control to Udana. The Udana only rescues this Atman from this body. The Atman, it looks as though it is coiled and stuck to the body. It is not. But we think both are same. So it has to pull it out of that. Take it out because it has got too much of association with this body. That job is given to Udana. Prana says, you recover me. You recover me. That is the job of Udana. So there it says how it is taken out. And in Chandogya, then it goes on to say how based on whatever you do, what you will enjoy, and then this is a return journey. Now, while going, there are some descriptions. For example, what goes is only 3 things. One is, it is called avidya, which is vasana and samskaras. Samskaras and vasanas. This is all that is called the linga sarira. So that is the only indication that the demat form. What is in the physical form is dematted at the time of death. And that is carried. And because every soul, every Atman has a continuity because of karma and vyapara that we do in a Janma. That is why this was very important. That is why where it has to be carried, to which department must be transferred, in which part of the world and which family it should be deposited, is all. Today, science does not, it looks at only the last mile problem. It thinks the whole birth is only the last mile problem. Whereas this mantra is not saying that. This mantra is saying it is a deeply arranged idea, and it is Brahman himself is overseeing this process and baton passing it 5 times before it continues its journey. So that is what this mantra is. So with this understanding, now if you go back to the mantra, know that it is telling it in a very concise way. It is saying Tasmat, from him, Agnihi Yasya Samidaha Suryaha. That heaven is the first fire in which the fuel is Surya. Okay? From Surya, you got passed it on to Soma, that is not explained. I jumped to the next one. Somat, out of the Soma, Parjanya, it baton passed it to the next fire, which is the deity of rain, Parjanya. So that's what it says, Parjanya. Right? Then in between rain, Parjanya is also rain. That's why it's all concise here. It is not written in so many details. From Parjanya, the next fire is Prithvi. That is written here. Prithvyam Oshadayaha. So the food comes. The fourth fire is the Puman. That's why it says Puman Retaha. Right? So, and the fifth fire is the woman, which is not written here, but Sinchati Yoshitayam. The Yoshitayam Sinchati is implied, right? Prajaha Purushat Samprasutaha. Not this Purusha, Purushat Samprasutaha. It is a deeply organized process. It is not a very casual thing that we are talking about. There are 5 layers in which this Atman, when it goes out of this Janma, after finishing all its good karma, with that asanas and samskara, something very aligned to it, it should come. That's why in Bhagavad Gita also it says, Suchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Prashto Bijayate. It will match you to the nearest possible family where you can have a continuity from where you left last time. I think these are the principles which are explained to say how the human beings continue their journey from Janma after Janma. So this mantra puts it in a very concise form. If you go to the Panchagni Vidya, which is there both in Chandogya and Mundakopanishad, that will give us all these details. So it is put in a very concise form. I think with that we will close for the day. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Next week I am not here. I am in Chinmaya. There's a conference. So I'll have to, next Sunday I told I will come.